Right, everyone, we are at Wednesday night. We're inching closer towards the weekend when Celtic will be back in action. And good news, we're back with the OG himself, the legend, Jackie McNamara, for another half an hour of Celtic content. Jackie, how are you? Good summer?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, it's glad the football started back again. Something to look forward to. It seems to be a long time coming back, but no, it's good that it's starting again, and a good start last weekend as well.
And last night as well, should we mention that? Asim, you're on as well. Did you get up to much last night? Did you watch anything on the
I
telly, perhaps?
I did indeed. Thoroughly enjoyable Tuesday evening. Can't complain with that. So I'm in a good spirits, as a lot of Celtic fans probably are this week.
It is pretty nice, guys, being serious, to have this summer and no European qualifiers to worry about, because you do see what happened last night, and it's just amazing one season that it's not us and we can just focus on the domestic stuff. Last week, when we put out our start of season predictions, you may have noticed that there was a name missing, so we're going to throw this right on Jackie. Player to shine this season. Who do you think the kind of player of the year will be this season for Celtic?
Jota.
Really? Because no one else has gone for Jota. We've had 6 or 7 of them coming in. It's all been Kyogo, Hatate, O'Reilly. What is it about Jota?
I just think he's not on loan anymore. He's permanent, and you seen last weekend. Sometimes you come into a club, the second season is usually the hardest, but I think it might be different in this case because I think he's obviously now a Celtic player. He's not on loan. I mean, you're a loan player. It's not quite the same. Although you still feel part of it a little bit. But now it's permanent. Now that he knows this is his home, and obviously last weekend showing that it's a good start for him. I think this will be a big season for him.
Would you have said Jota a week ago before that goal against Aberdeen?
Yeah. I think I think there's a lot to come from him. I think he's those glimpses there. He's exciting, and I think what the fans want to see. But I do think there's a lot to come from him this season, ability wise, and as I said, it's good that he's both feet as well. We can go either side. So I think he'll be a big one this year.
Right, number 2, surprise package. So a player in the Celtic squad that maybe people don't have huge expectations for, who you think could go on and have a good season. It's a bit tougher, this one.
Well, last year I would have said that Ralston took that. This year I'd probably, I think it's got a big season for Hatate.
Okay.
I think he was excellent when he first came in, scored some valuable goals in the Rangers game especially. But I thought he had a long season. He didn't really have a break. I think he's had that little break now, and I think just the little glimpses I've seen in pre-season games, I think he could be something special.
And finally, this is a tough one, a big prediction for the season, something you can look back on in 10 months' time and you can have a big smile on your face. What have we had, Asim, from various people? You went for Celtic to beat someone.
I went for a big one, a big scoreline. I think you went for a European scalp.
John, I think, fancied us to take 6 points from the Champions League group stage.
I do see a big score coming. I do see an 8.
Asim said 10.
I wouldn't. It's possible. It is possible, especially with the subs, the subs you can use. I could see something like that. I could also see a scalp, and Champions League, depending on the draw. But you're hoping you would get the 3 home wins.
Wow, back in your day, that's what you used to do every season.
Yeah. So I think I could be that 3 home wins.
Right, that's the official Jackie McNamara prediction. We love it. Bold. What have you made of Celtic's general business this summer, Jackie?
I think it's been good. Yeah, I think the main bit was to sort the players out that were there. Obviously, Maeda was permanent, Jota and Carlton Vickers. I think they're crucial. The other ones we've not seen them peak yet. Bernabe, obviously, there's weak glimpses there, but it'll take time to adjust in how Ange wants to play. I think the other ones that will get better and fitter. McNamara is coming back into the team as well, so I think he's got some really good options going forward.
So I guess that's a big thing this year, Asim, is that last year we were signing players literally one day, and then the following day we were throwing them into the lion's den. This year we have that opportunity to take our time with these players because the kind of first team that's there is doing the business.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is the benefit. Everyone kind of knows their roles this season. We're quite a settled lineup, so anyone coming in really has to kind of earn their spot. And you've seen that with kind of Greg Taylor's performance at the weekend. I thought he was brilliant. It seems like that might shoot him up another level as well, having that competition from the likes of Bernabei. So, and that the role as well, obviously with the kind of way Ange wants our fullbacks to play, it's not something that a lot of fullbacks might be used to at previous clubs, and I think that's where Greg Taylor really excelled for me at the weekend. Just he played it perfectly. It was almost like watching the way Man City play with their fullbacks. You've seen him in such advanced roles, and I think that's where Bernabeu will probably come into it. Once he learns the role, because I've been impressed with the bits I've seen of him, but like many of you have said, just maybe a bit rusty in certain parts and getting to know the role better. And I think that's the benefit is this squad is quite settled and they know how Ange wants them to play. So any players come in, they'll kind of have to get up to speed with that quite quickly. But we've got that benefit that they don't have to be rushed straight into the team at the moment.
Yeah, just in terms of that competition, Jackie, is that a thing for footballers? That when they have competition, you seem to find new levels. Did you ever find that when you were playing?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. You need competition in every position. You seen it last year, as I said. Ralston was, I think, very unlucky to find his Celtic team a few times, and sometimes he switched them across to the other side or played in front of him as well. So, the games that they're going to be involved in between Champions League and league games, then cup games, in the way that the full-backs play, Ange will make changes in the areas, and he'll want complete trust in all of them that he can do that without any problems.
Yeah. In terms of players going on or moving out, fringe players, Volleyball and goalie, Karamoku Dembele, Luca Connell, Jonathan Afalabi have all gone permanently. Vasilis Barkas, Ismail Asoro, Isazi Urigidi have been moved out on loan, while Adam Montgomery and Liam Scales have got development loans as well away from the club. Seem to be struggling to move on Ayeti and Chris Julian. Jackie, obviously you're kind of aware of what's going on in the general market. Are clubs still struggling financially at the moment due to the pandemic? What's the state of play in the general summer window at the moment?
It has been slow, in fairness. There's not been a lot of activity, but clubs are looking for bargains and they're going out and spending lots of money, which is why you see more loans. A loan with an option to buy because they want to make sure it's the right investment. And these guys are on, I'd imagine, on big salaries. So to recoup all of that, it's a bit more difficult. It's different with a youngster, where their wages are not going to be astronomical. But you've got guys there that you've paid between £5 or £7 million in transfers. They'll be on decent salaries, and it's difficult to go and recoup that. They've not played. They've not, so they need to be patient, and it might be one that they do go out and loan first for the season, and I hope that they do well, that you can recoup the money the next year.
So what's going on in the background then? Will Celtic be talking to other clubs, you think, about the likes of Ayeti and Julian? Will there be dark arts at play at the club? I've heard stories of locking lockers and chucking away various things to force players' hands in terms of moving away from the club. I take it all of that stuff goes on.
I think it's different now. I mean, the Power, obviously, if they're on big contracts and they've years to go, they'll want all that sorted. But it's a difficult one because, as I said, that if they put that investment out to get the players in, which can be a lot, and it's difficult just to turn around and command that back, especially when they've not featured a lot. Julian's been injured, although he was rumoured to be going to, I think it was Schalke in the summer. The reports he was away and it fell through personal terms, is what the reports were, whether that's true or not. But it tells you he's on obviously decent money if that's the case, and trying to recoup that money is difficult.
Yeah, £7 million we paid for him, Asim, so he's going to be on decent wages.
Yeah, definitely. And he was one of those ones that I wouldn't have minded seeing if he was able to kind of have a fresh start this summer and maybe get himself back into the swing of things. But it just seems like from all parties concerned, we're quite happy to, he looks like he's looking for obviously first team football, which is understandable after such a long time off. And we look like we're kind of looking at other options as well, and obviously with the signing of Jens, and we're happy to keep Welsh, it seems. So I don't think Ange sees him in the plans. So I think for all parties concerned, it might be best for him to move on. In terms of I was going to ask, we've obviously touched on it in the channel in terms of how we're quite happy with our transfer dealings so far, and we kind of got the signings in that we wanted quite early on. How do you see things, Jackie, in terms of like any areas that you feel that we could still potentially strengthen in? Yeah, I know a few of us have touched on it, that we feel we'd like to see another couple in certain areas. Do you think that's something that the club will still be looking to get involved in?
I don't think it's too far away. I think I think you're looking for an enforcer in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
Like somebody that's they were linked to a couple in the summer. It obviously didn't materialise, but I was it tells you that's the area that they are looking at. Somebody that's can cover the ground, that can break things up, that's aggressive and start things off. That frees other players to get forward the way Ange wants to play. And the two players we talked about there with Julian and Ayeti, the way Ange plays doesn't really suit them. Julian is better in a formation where he has people around him to help him, or he doesn't want to run back in the right back channels or left 1v1. He's not brilliant on the ball or starting things off. He's good in both boxes. I think that's more his attributes. Ayeti isn't dynamic enough like the other ones. Like, he can't cover the ground like the Eder does, or Kyogo, or make the runs. So you're fitting players in to suit Ange's style. But I think one that he hasn't got is that sort of enforcer just in front of the centre halves that can, if the full backs are forward, can they get across and cover that, especially in the Champions League, whereas that's when you get punished. If both full backs are away or one's away, and away down one side, can somebody be that man to protect?
Yeah, I think it's the Champions League games and the derbies as well are the two people are looking at, and I just think we're a little bit light at times in that midfield. Callum McGregor possibly playing one up with a bigger player kind of behind him who, as you say, Jackie, can cover the ground, can start off attacks as well. I think that's what fans wanted. I just think with the signing of Moy, and given that James McCarthy's still at the club, Gucci's obviously still there as well as all the other players. I just don't see us really bringing in anyone else, but it could change. There has been reports about James McCarthy attracting interest from England, so we'll see if anything comes from that. Away from the playing staff, Jackie, some rejigging of the coaching staff also took place. Harry Kewell came in, Stephen McManus moved to the B team alongside Darren O'Day. I believe Tommy McIntyre has moved on from Celtic. He's certainly not been present so far this season, although there's been nothing kind of publicly said by the club on that. I believe that the B team are also now training at Lennoxtown, Jackie. So it seems like the club have made some structural changes there. Are they positive changes?
I think it's positive if they're training at Lennoxtown, because it lets Ange see the B team players. I think that's important at any club. They're there, they can maybe bring one or two up and let them see them. I think Ange was quoted as saying that he likes change at certain bits here when players don't get too comfortable with the personnel. And Steve McManus has went down. I think he trusts him to keep the standards or raise the standards in the B team. Having worked with him in the first team, so he wants to really be the same standards, the same way they want to play. So if they are called up then in the B team players to the first team, there's no surprise. They know their jobs and they know what's expected.
Yeah, the B team, by the way, won 2-0 last night against Civil Service Strollers in the Lowland League. Going back to Sunday, Ange quite critical of our lack of a clinical edge in the final third. Watching the game back, I did think there was an element of trying to pass the ball into the back of the net. I think Turnbull had one late on in the game from a Jota pass where he should have shot. There was the one in the first half as well when I think 3 or 4 players could have had a shot and they didn't. I know Ange wasn't wanting to use the fact that it was the first game of the season as an excuse, but do you think that's the reason, Jackie? Was it just, you can play as many pre-season games as you want, but when it comes to the competitive stuff, it's still going to take you a couple of games to get to speed?
100%. I think it takes you at least 5 or 6 games to get up to the levels you want. I think you've seen that every year with the Champions League qualifiers, even with the teams, Motherwell getting beat last week. It's such a difficult one to play, and the games are so important. And you're not up to speed yet. I think Ange would be more concerned if he wasn't creating. There's the chances were there. I think they'll get sharper. And I think he'll have been happy with how dominant they were. The game should have been over obviously a lot earlier, but that's why I think I said earlier someone's going to come on the end of a big scoreline, because once everybody's firing all cylinders, which they will be, someone will take a real sore one.
Asim, what did you make of the lack of a clinical edge on Sunday, having seen the game back or certainly the highlights?
Yeah, no, I similar to you. I watched the game back and I thought, especially that kind of first half hour period, there was lots of different opportunities. I think Matt O'Reilly had one that saved over the bar, and Hatate, there's quite a few that it could have easily gone. We could have been 3-4 up going into the second half. So we touched on it before as well. That's something we wanted to see us improve on this season, because I think that was quite similar last year as well. We created a lot of good opportunities, got into great positions, but weren't ruthless or clinical enough. So that's hopefully something that we'll address, and it's perhaps why Ange was a bit critical at the end. I think like he touched on it at the end about the crowd and how the occasion was brilliant, and then he almost said something about how we have to match that. And I think that might have been one of his frustrations, that he probably felt it could have been a 4 or 5, and really reflective of the kind of dominance and to match the occasion, because everyone was in such good spirits and it was such a good atmosphere. And I think that's where I've seen some of the reactions after. Some fans have been a bit, I think at times maybe too critical on the performance. I think
He's talking to you, everyone. He's talking to you.
As far as our first game goes, you'll know as well, Jackie, from previous flag days and stuff. You just want to get the 3 points. You want to start on a high note, and I think we've done that within reason, and I think we'll get stronger as the season goes on.
Jackie?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. As I said, it does take a number of games. That's why years gone by, as I said, even go back to when we got to the final in Seville, we get knocked out in the qualifiers. Had we played the qualifiers another month later, we would have beat Basel.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. It does take time to get up to the speed of things, and I think it's at least 5 or 6 games.
With that in mind, going into Saturday against County, would you guys change anything in terms of the starting lineup?
No, I wouldn't. I would. Again, these games, you've seen the importance of that one last year. It was Ralston with that late winner, how important that goal was in the grand scheme of things. So I think momentum, so early on, you want to get everybody up to speed again and keep building on that. If there's a chance to bring players into it, which he does, he makes changes every game, Ange, the way the team plays. So I think he'll just keep the same.
I guess we're in an interesting bit, Asim, because we've not got these midweek games. First 5-6 weeks of the season, it's just Saturday, Sunday, etc. So there's no real need, and I don't think we picked up any injuries at the weekend, so there's no real need to change it up. But would you change it up? I mean, would Anthony Ralston deserve a start, for example?
You're right. It is such a strange kind of alien situation for us over the last decade or so. We've never had this where we've not had pre-season qualifiers and midweek games, and other than Carl Starfelt and Ideguchi, we've pretty much, like you say, got everyone available, which again was alien for this time of season. You look at last year, we just literally were having to try and see who was available, and we didn't really have options. Whereas now you've got the likes of Giacomakis, Abada, Ralston, Turnbull could all easily come in and slot in, and you wouldn't have any qualms with that. And there is obviously you want to keep that consistency, but I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Abada come in for this one, and move Jota back onto the left. But then obviously you've got the Maeda's kind of intense energy and pressing, which you would maybe lose out from that. I think whatever team he picks, we'll all be kind of happy with. There's not like any standout ones that I feel you'd be itching for massive changes. But yeah, Ralston as well. He's an option to come in for potentially Juranovic, because I thought Juranovic was okay, but is still maybe getting up to speed. So yeah, there's plenty of options. I would maybe get a bad in for this weekend.
Okay. County lost their opener, Jackie, against Hearts, but they have signed really well. I think they're going to be a team to watch this season, and they obviously, as you touched on, they gave us a really tough game up there last season. Nervous about this one at all?
No, if they played the way they can. I think they had a really slow start last year. Ross County, a lot of people were tipping them to go down, but in fairness to Malky, I think he done a great job up there last year. Took time to get his players in, and once they did, they were a decent team, scored goals, and they ended up having a really good season. So I think they will get stronger as well. But Celtic play the way they can, they should win it.
There's no danger of us taking the eye off the ball, is there, at this stage of the season, Asim?
No, I don't think so. I think with Ange at the helm, and he's obviously just so focused, and you can tell, even in the aftermatch of the Aberdeen game, he's not going to let standards slip. I think we've got a couple of tough games here. Like you said, Ross County seem to have signed well, so it's a bit of quite a lot of changes. So it'll be a bit of an unknown. Same with Aberdeen. I think they had 6 new players in their lineup, so it'll be a case of getting used to the teams. But you just fancy ourselves being so kind of settled and to take that game by the scruff of the neck. And we've got obviously Ross County and Kilmarnock away, so you'd be 2 tough away games. But I just think the players are so focused that there'll be no complacency there. And you've seen the one at the tail end of last season, which everyone kind of earmarked as the big one after we'd won at Ibrox, just to make sure and go and cement that. It was the one after the Parkhead, wasn't it? It was after the one each game.
The Ross County was after the Cup semi.
Cup semi, sorry, yeah. So it was the one where everyone was expecting a reaction, and we went, and I thought we played pretty well up there, and got the result 2-0. So I'd hope for something similar this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to Dingwall twice this month. We're obviously starting a month there in the league. We're ending it there in the last 16 of the League Cup. Between those fixtures, we've got Killie away, Hearts at home, and Dundee United away. So 4 out of our 5 matches in August are away from home. Thoughts on that, Asa? I mean, for me, some tough games in there. I think Tannadice, as Jackie will know, is never easy. Hearts are playing well, although I think they'll have a European qualifier. But I look at those fixtures and it could be far worse. I think there's an opportunity there for Celtic to win all 5 games in August. What do you think?
Yeah, ideally you want to be going into that first derby fixture, I think, with maximum points. You contrast that to obviously our start to the season last year, but you just feel we're in such a better place. And yeah, they're tough fixtures. I think generally the standard of the league this year is probably going to be higher than it was last year. You'd like to think that Aberdeen and Hibs are going to be stronger this year. Hearts, Dundee United look to have strengthened from a decent season last season as well, and likewise Ross County. So I think all these games are potential, games where you have to be right on it. So Ross County, Killie, both toughish games, but you're right, it could be worse. I think Hearts at home will come at a good time, because this is a great opportunity for them to get Europa League football, and they might have one eye on that. But no, it's exciting, and then obviously in between all that we will have a Champions League draw to look forward to as well, which absolutely buzzing about. So no, it's an exciting time, and that's what you want. It's tough games straight away, and it's what we're all looking for as fans.
And transfers obviously as well, Jackie. There's going to be chat over whether we're going to sign anyone else during the month of August as well. So it should be a pretty interesting month to be a Celtic fan.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, the good thing is you're waiting for the Champions League draw. You're not hoping to get there. We're already there. That's a massive thing for the players and club. Not having to worry about that or getting the team up and ready for that. You can focus on the league games, and get everybody ready for the Champions League at the right time.
When you were a player, Jackie, in terms of the draw, I was going to ask, do you look out for a glamour tie, or do you just want the easiest kind of fixtures possible? I remember under Martin O'Neill's time, it felt like we kind of went into it feeling like we could compete with anyone anyway. I remember the likes of Bayern Munich coming to Celtic Park and celebrating a draw. and obviously we went to Turin and took the game to them. But obviously now there's a bigger disparity. Do you look for a glamour tie, or do you just want the easiest possible ties?
No, I honestly when I looked at the draw, it was more the teams that I wanted to play against. If it's Barcelona, I always wanted to try and play against Madrid as well. Never got them. You know, it was like AC Milan or Porto or Bayern Munich playing against these teams. But Barcelona we got a few times, to be fair. But I was always wanting to go and play somewhere that I hadn't, a stadium I hadn't played before, and have that experience. So hopefully the players are thinking the same.
So Real Madrid top of the list this year, Jackie, for teams you want to see Celtic
yeah,
play?
I think that'd be good, mate. I really do. I think never, to say that, never got to play there, but I think with the players, their history and the team they have, it'd be great.
I'd take
Great
Frankfurt
stuff
as well, though, from pot 1.
You couldn't resist that final wee gig, could you? It's kind of fitting we finished in the Champions League today, guys. That will do us for today. We'll continue the build up to Saturday over the coming days. Lots to be excited about at the moment, and great to have Jackie back on the channel. Thanks very much, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll speak to you tomorrow.